In a small village in Lira, in northern Uganda, a joyous celebration is about to take place. A bride has come back to her home village to partake in probably the most important ritual in a Ugandan marriage, the introduction, or kwanjula. The whole village is invited to witness this colourful and vibrant spectacle. Many cultural dances are proudly performed, and many gifts are exchanged between all the members of the two families. But few Ugandan weddings take place without a certain degree of negotiation, ranging from simple requests for the bride's well-being to hard-fought demands for livestock and cash for the bride's extended family. So even while the celebrations continue, the bride price, or at least the livestock part of it, needs careful inspection. Then, in a nearby house, the families meet to check that a list of demands have been met. Amid the smiles, there is often a tension that runs through the meetings. Has the price demanded for the bride been paid in full? Lists are ticked, and careful records are kept. Envelopes of money are passed from hand to hand. Once the checks are over, the groom is formally introduced and welcomed to the gathered guests, and the party can really begin. In many cases, it ends there, and the couple go on to lead happy and healthy lives. But in a striking and worryingly large number of cases, bride price can lead on to misery, poverty, submission, and violence. Which leads us to ask the urgent question, what price? Bride price. We travelled around Uganda to try to get a picture of what bride price has come to mean throughout the country, and the effects it has. Kenneth Kaguru is a legal practitioner in Kampala and of considerable standing. He has a strong interest in human rights and was one of the lawyers who successfully argued against the proposal to outlaw bride price last time it came before the Constitutional Court.
Bride price is called okujuga. Okujuga is the mowing of a cow. So it is that they have brought cows home. So that is why, but it is not about bride and it's not about price.
We visited a member of the Court of Appeal of Uganda, Mr. Justice Stephen Kavuma. He doesn't fully accept the concept of a price for a bride, but when it comes to the potential demands for refund, he seems quite clear.
If I give you a gift, if things will go sour, I don't, as of right, think I should come and say, hey, I give you a gift, you bring it back. And of course that has the problem of looking at the girl as a chattel, as a chicken that you could take to a market and you say, hey, willing buyer, you are here, give me 30,000 and you take this, and I object to that. It is inhumane, it is antisocial.
We moved on to meet Immaculate, who was staying in a Mifumi refuge. She originally married in Kisoko with a bride price of 2 cows.
Idowa mare to akan yang nango mo bedore go ichakra kumnya wachocho odwa deki piri odwoko kama medhi ekoro ha unyo go wachra na wuok itinyo dak bero gi mara matimedi ma wuok to go ma ka to chako ywa gi tienda ni wada woko gima ido miya na medo don kenyo ni da para ni ke kisho nyuwa mare kidok tim nedi ikat kamoro to miya na abedo kenyo to meda bedo gombe meda gana meno gana ga ko gani akado anyalo kado pesho awachore mama gi jupino ibedo kenyo amena meno ko sawachore tinyuol pere go wacho ni go doko kidhaw tero kada ndela dek doko go gan amena meno to tabina nyuolo nyathi mara pena minya nyur mandelario to bino to gan gimbawo to god ndo para gimbawo nya nyur mandelario to kadho to yikani ikewa nke war tapino takadho mufuma tie kisoko temi abalwa tiluongo go to gopino to wacho ni doko go kla dao timi wafonji to wadok pecho.
She clung on to the marriage because of her children.
Tawacho goni ila dao de kiri kera ngo same watie gi nyithindo madonga pich meje ode mito ni dawe wachirani kemito kadho ila kadha tiwe nyithindo meka.
But the torments continued, and one night, after she tried to go to sleep, he came after her.
To kone ko mach to kwanyo kibiriti to bino gini diro Kenya to gwero kibiriti to bolo kapara nyamito nika mach wangane to kibiriti no mako nanga to tho doko gwero man dok to bolo to meno bedo ko mako ka to meno be tho nyumare dek mere minyogo kido minyo sho gwero nyath para matin lunga wachirani mama am to madho pi nyumnya am iyo nyathino pi to go gaman to chakre agango kod nanga.
Juliet is only 14. One day, she came home from school and found strangers in the house.
Nganolile mzali wese wambolali basoleli bano bechile bacheni na wochokhwalika sinalumenti sena chata alinga walabila khuchabe wese olumwana wase tamanye sucha nsesomo kwase sengana khwalika tawe.
Juliet is clear why she thinks she was about to be married off.
Bazali bange bwekuba nga bakanese waliye sabalingana benyana tabakana na abisilingi.
She found out later that her potential husband had offered 1 million shillings for her. She managed to hear about Mifumi and is currently taking shelter in one of the refuges. Whilst there, she helps entertain the children of mothers who have come escaping domestic violence. When women leave abusive relationships, it can have severe repercussions for their families. Opendia Jay's daughter left her husband after just a few months. He would do no work himself and treated her like a slave. She was forced to do everything for her family. Eventually, she felt she had to leave.
To go bino to timora report kapaka nyara no eye go mito lim. Tawacho go lim ini mito chi miane na or atieko oro.
Opendia Jay's daughter found a new husband with whom she had children, but her first husband continued to insist on a return of his bride price. The new husband had no money, so the burden continued to fall on Opendia Jay.
Onyo hongo majo maka jo tere na bioga. Minyo emito na ye ket chingan maduoko bian. So kenyo aminyo foda kwero. Ti wadon jera ti gaki boka par gario. Omoko akir tienda me.
Having been beaten into signing the document, he was released. But as soon as he left the prison, he went on the run because he knew he could not afford the refund.
So minya ringo waka male malito madit swa tek. Munyo ana ringo waka. Duong mere onyokoro. Sama chiemo ango giemo tire. Anantie bere pa ji kosa padano. Ka bedo endelaria dek kosa dwe. Ko riema doka kore kaman. Ameno Kenya mawinje lito swa tek. Straight jola omana oma. Sane ranga mapage moro worgo dichieng. Police re woto pecho ka osir kale woto ka e gagara simo koro wacha ni kiri duoki. To kelo rachande makiri nyithindo nyoye jo soma. Akinyalo nyer jo uniform. Akinyalo nyer jo nangaruka. Kitaba kinyalo nyer jo. So nyo. Paka John Tiama paka ana banti. Vichandu madit makuwache.
Mifumi consider that at least 60% of domestic violence cases reported to them are bride price related. There are precious few who are prepared to speak out about bride price, but Miriam Matembe is a former minister responsible for ethics and fighting corruption and a co-draftee of Uganda's 1995 Constitution. She is convinced that the persistence of bride price is because women are not being recognised for what they are.
Both men and women do not know who a woman is. And that is the reason why they treat her as secondary class citizen or as rubbish or something like that. Because they do not know that women are full human beings in their own right. Society does not know the potential, the talents, the wisdom of women, and it does not know that the denial of their ability to realize their potential is the denial of Uganda as a development. The girls themselves, for instance, who are not educated like me, who knows that I'm valuable without attachment to bride price, they still attach their value to bride price. I remember very, very well when I was growing up, I had an aunt, my father's sister. She used to be battered and violated by her, I think, vagabond husband. And many times she would run home to come for rescue. And after 3 or 4 days, my father, unfortunately, would turn against her and say, "You are useless. You are useless. That's why your husband chased you away." And my aunt, and I was young, about 7 years, she would pitifully say, "I'm not useless. I produced sons for this man. I'm not useless. I brought in bride price in this home." And you know, that answer really struck me. It's one of the things that inspired me to go and fight against gender inequality. Because it showed to me that my poor aunt, and of course generally many women whom I was seeing suffering in the village, knew that they had no value. But they are only valuable when they bring in bride price and when they produce sons.
In Kampala, we went to another member of the Court of Appeal, Mr. Justice Amos Twinomajuni. On a tribunal of 5 judges, including 2 women, he was the only one who stood for making bride price illegal in Uganda.
Originally, it was supposed to mean security for good behavior. If I marry your daughter, I am supposed to give you something to ensure that I look after her well. Also, it had the opposite effect of ensuring that the girl will behave well during the continuance of the marriage. But as of now, it does not mean that anymore. It is a price that you pay in order to get somebody's daughter. And it is refundable. And I don't think it is a good thing anymore. Gifts, yes, they are quite perfectly okay. I've written a judgment in a constitutional petition in which I have argued that gifts are commendable, are acceptable. But the bride price in which parents demand and get paid, and where a refund is expected when the marriage breaks down, to me, I don't think it is no longer justified.
In the recent Court of Appeal, 4 out of 5 judges rejected a change in the law because they said that the existence of bride price had not been proved to their satisfaction.
My difference with them is that I know I'm a Ugandan, I've lived in Uganda society, I've practiced law in Uganda society, and I know, and it doesn't have to be proved to me, that bride price is taking place. And that's why I said bride price, as I understand it, to me, I said should be declared unconstitutional.
If Uganda is to move forward as a leading African nation, it cannot afford to treat half its population as commodities. Isn't it time that women were not bought and sold? That weddings were not places of transaction? Many people in Uganda continue to insist that bride price is merely a gift, but they seem to be concentrating on only those people in the country who can afford to see bride price as a gift. At village level, brides continue to be treated as little better than cows, bought, sold or haggled over, a means of pacifying demanding relatives, and, like cows, they can be beaten and commanded, and sometimes even destroyed. A continuing evil in this country is the persistent belief that bride price could and should be refunded. As long as this continues, women will never be safe from the sometimes violent whims of men, who can still marry as many wives as they like, who can throw women they are tired of out onto the streets, and who can ignore all the work, love, and nurturing that women provide. If Uganda is to be a modern, relevant, and important African country, then its women and its brides should be seen as treasures to be cherished, companions to be loved, and above all, held equal with men in education and treatment. Let us by all means celebrate marriage and exchange gifts, but such gifts should never be seen as payment and should never be demanded back.